Hi, welcome to another episode of Beav-Art. This is the 8th episode. Wow, can you believe that many? If you haven't listened to any of my other episodes, I've interviewed a plethora of different types of artists, like Barry J. Davis, Lucy Mitchell, Richard Tate, Ellie Pompili, Jared Orlin, Suki Booth, and Ali Gardner. And today I'm joined by a good friend of mine and an amazing artist who I worked with on Same Sky for one of the projects. And her name is Helena Bryant-Taylor. Hello.
Hello.
Welcome. I always like to start the episodes with a little bit of a background on yourself. So would you be able to explain where you come from and what sort of art you created?
Okay. So I have come from a fine art background. So I studied painting at art college.
Lovely.
And then, but what I found was that I was more interested in the process rather than finished object. So it's from this idea that you have, when you're doing a painting, it's sort of alive, and then when it's finished, it's dead. So I was thinking I wanted to have people coming in at that point of liveness to it, and I started making performance. And my first performance piece, it was like a year after I'd left college, art college, and we'd had no central heating in our flat, and I had been in a sleeping bag on the sofa a lot of the time, and my boyfriend at the time called me Slug Woman. And
lovely.
Yeah, and then there was a call out for art pieces for those times, starting a little festival. We lived in Whitstable, and I thought, I've got this idea of Slug Woman making a painting, and I got like 150 quid to do this thing, and it was this having a big canvas on the floor with lots of pots of paint on it,
right,
and then I was kind of inside this plastic sheath that I'd made with a blindfold on, and I'd made a soundtrack of this slowed down 20 golden western greats and Yes Sir I Can Boogie, and I was shuffling around, and these pots, it was like a slow motion action painting, and these kind of pots going over and kind of like, moving around the canvas, and people really liked it. So I suddenly became a performance artist overnight.
Amazing.
Overnight I became a performance artist, and then I kind of started to then I became involved in, I found out that there was this whole scene, this thing called live art.
Okay.
And it's live art is like a hybrid practice. It's a place where people go that there's nowhere else for them. It's on the margins, on the outside of, doesn't fit into painting or dance or
like
video.
A cult or something,
Not a cult. Well, it's sort of a cult in a way. And there was this
Do you need
kind
to
of
have
stuff.
like a secret code to get in?
No. And there was quite at the time in London, and I moved to London after Whitstable, and then kind of met people who were doing things, and it was quite a political element to it, I suppose. Although I like to do things where I was playing, not really knowing what's happening, kind of seeing what things kind of emerged, and I used to do a lot of performances where I'd kind of get covered up somehow, and I think partly because I couldn't see people.
So then you kind of felt like more comfortable doing what you were doing, or
then it became but I think it was that I've like being interested in what happens. It's sort of like this my kind of creative process, and then it's encounter with the outside and the encounter with other people.
Right.
And so I think that interface, the kind of like that kind of barrier, the boundary, became something to kind of, it seems to be constantly coming up, and then I became interested in it as a thing.
That's weird how you jump from fine art to doing that kind of interactive sort of art.
Yeah, well, I suppose there's I remember like I had a tutor at college called Janet Hand, who did all the kind of history and theory, and I kind of really, really liked her, and she sort of introduced us to all sort of Fluxus and kind of things like that, and that was the stuff that always had this like, I really, really like it, kind of kind of sort of turned me on a bit, and that's where this whole, that's where I guess it's always happened. It's always been there in contemporary art. These kind of like the live encounter things, and it's not the same as theatre, although it's crossovers with it. I don't know. I don't have like performance skills in that way as a performer. That I haven't had like theatre or dance training. But...
Did you have an end goal in sight of what you want it to be finished then? The piece to be. The outcome.
A lot of it was about seeing what happened, and I think, and it kind of came, kind of figuring out at the end that process to me, sort of working with materials or working with sight. Working with encounter with kind of people, it's like I began to view it as being like a research process. So it's kind of like, what happens in this? What's in it? It's a way of those kind of the questions about what is it to be, what is it to be a self, what is it to be alive, what is it to be in relationship. That this is played out. It's like a kind of like I've kind of thought. Art process for me, kind of, it's like an external form of thought. It's like, rather than just thinking in your head, it's thinking out here. And then kind of having other people coming into it. I mean, it becomes kind of quite open. There's no way of making a living. It really is. It's not. But I've had a drive in it. And then
did you ever do any of that sort of expressive art style on streets in London, like where some, like a busking type thing, or was it always in a studio? Or...
No, it's not in a studio. There was things like, it wouldn't be just out on the street in that way. There would be some kind of context for it. But for example, I had some work that was emotional defence wear. So I had the dress for containing anger. That kind of like, with plastic thing retreated into, and all these balloons got burst, and then or the zero suit of invisibility that let nothing in and nothing out, and then amazing. The wearer would be rendered invisible. So, and that I kind of did at an event, and then I was in residence at a school in the Year of the Artist. So it's just like going way back. So the Year of the Artist, 2001. I get a residency in a high school in Hull, right, in the Brand's Home Estate in Hull, which is like really famously had one of the kind of like the youngest sort of teen pregnancy, kind of like very deprived kind of area, not right. And they had this school which was like it looked like a spaceship. It was all glass. And they selected me to be the artist in residence, not the school. It was like whole time post arts. And I sort of said I was going to do this emotional defence, but they wanted it. The residents were all the businesses, the artist as entrepreneur. So I said, it was like a kind of fake business, and it was really, really hard to. It didn't really. It was a challenge to be there, should I say?
Okay.
Lots of ways, but so I did this thing with the zero suit of invisibility. It's like this silver sort of plastic. And wandered round, and the teachers had been, this is just one thing I did during the 6 months, the teachers had been told that I was invisible, and so treated me like I was invisible. And then there's kids who were out of school, who were out of their lessons, but instead of being truant off site, they would just wander around inside the building.
Right.
Because the way that what happened was that it was like a big circular, like a circuit, that there was no dead ends to it, and they would have people who were the on-call teachers kind of chasing around, just going round and round and round. So I turn up as this, and they're like, "Who's the alien? There's an alien," and they're following me round, and who are you? Where'd you come from? And then we've got this bit of footage. And I was kind of talking to one of the kids and saying, well, how are you going to get out of the suit? How are you going to get out of the suit? And then the teacher comes along and says, like, why aren't you at your lessons? Completely ignoring me. And so those things, and that was kind of live in a, it wasn't like a, in a theatre or a gallery or anything like that. And
so how was it received, that sort of?
Yeah, well, a mixed thing. I think when the video, people really, it's unfortunate the school was like, please don't shout at 21, that shows our school in a really bad light. But the kids really liked it. And then other people, I mean, it was a great thing, like, oh yeah, this kind of shows something about what happens when you're trying to take creativity into schools, and especially a kind of live art, this kind of more open process. It doesn't have this product to it, it's kind of like, this is, what happens when that meets. It's kind of like, and also this, there's this stuff, because they were following me, it was like, this, what's going on with bullying here, there was, and the people kind of viewing it saying, oh yeah, we could kind of use this to have conversations, but the school had gone into special measures, and it was, and they have their things that they need to be, they've got their they've got such a lot of work to do.
Yeah, they've got to fit into that.
They've got to fit in, and it's like they've just got to they've got so many hoops to jump through, and and I was from the south. I was quite middle class. It was kind of like, how did I really fit into this? It's sort of, and I think I'd gone into doing that off the back of a project where we had a really big team.
Okay.
And I kind of it was like, oh, I'm on my own and I can't really deal with this.
I suppose with a team you can bounce off each other and keep that energy going and kind of keep people inclusive into the
I think there's something about being being able to hold space better and kind of look after people and kind of get people on side and then I think just for me I was like my late 20s, maybe 29, something like that, and sort of I just sort of was in this different place. I had no sort of people. I didn't have my support network around me, So, but it was quite and the best thing about that was if I hadn't gone to Hull, I would not have known what Hull was like. And then 10 years later, when I meet my now husband, who was from Hull, it's like, I know Hull. He was like,
what, did you meet him in Hull? Or did...
No, I met him. I met him, and then and he was like, what, you went to Bransome and you did that? Fucking hell. And he saw my strength. Oh, look, I've just touched that there.
No, it should be okay. Yeah.
But no, and then there was another thing, in Finland I did a residency where I was artist and waitress in residence.
In Finland?
Yeah, at this festival in Finland. So there was in a hotel restaurant, and I had a menu, and people could choose things off of the menu, and then I would improvise with stuff.
That's really cool.
And that's...
So was it a lot of your off the cuff, just spontaneous, or was there a plan, or was there a finish line in sight, of like, this is where it will end, or this is where... Not like ending art, but like just the actual projects you were doing.
Oh yeah, no, the projects, so they would be contained within a project, so not just like I'm just kind of randomly going somewhere and doing something, or...
that'd be funny in itself, wouldn't it?
So there was... it helps to have some kind of, you need to have some kind of identity.
Okay.
I think what worked quite nicely sometimes with a short performance, I kind of did a few things where I was short performance, and I'd have a soundtrack, and so that might be 15-minute soundtrack, and so what went on during that was improvised, but it had key moments that I knew how it was going to start or something.
Cool.
And then key moments in there. There was one, there's one called Sauce that I did. Well, it was the waitress.
Okay, yeah.
And the soundtrack had all these like Benny Hill kind of. It was I think Spanish Fly, that sort of. And I had these carry on sort of noise like ooh, that I'd edited into it. And so when I was pouring sauces onto the table, like doing again, it was painting, but with these sauces. Then sometimes balloons, these balloon stuff down my top. That it would just every now and then something would just fit exactly with the soundtrack.
Yeah. So
it looked like it was planned.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Oh, that's really clever.
So that worked well. And when I started to do things. Oh, yeah. I did this work where I was sort of blowing myself up as
what?
Propane Girl.
Let's explain that.
Yeah, this thing with the bursting of balloons.
Okay.
So I think there's like this kind of something about this. I think it's like, again with the emotions. You kind of got this like having them this sort of emotions that kind of get really big and you don't know what to do with them. And you know, and with that, sometimes it kind of exploding out, and there is that thing about expressive art, isn't there? About this need to have that kind of like come out somehow. You know,
that would be really good for the kids as well.
Well, yeah, in the team, not with me alone.
Oh, okay, yeah.
And then
to understand their emotions.
Oh yeah, no, it would, yeah.
Because you know, even if it's mixed with colours, with expressing that feeling with that colour, expressing feeling with, you know, how to deal with that. Kids workshop.
No, absolutely. Yeah. I'm still working on that. Making it feel safe, not quite.
With balloons are a bit spontaneous.
Or just, you know, but making a lot of mess, you know. So I was fine that I would make a lot of mess and then we'll have to clean it up, you know, and then sort of try and contain the mess. So this was about this thing about kind of emotional containment. But I devised this character called Propane Girl. So Propane Girl
sounds good so
has drunk a gallon of liquid propane and is highly combustible.
Oh gosh.
And if you make her angry, then she will explode and take half the town with her. And this was like at the time, we kind of had 9/11, we'd had, you know, this kind of idea of suicide bombing, and, you know, we were going for war in Iraq. And I'd got a bursary from Arts Admin in London to kind of like develop some work, and I had the space and kind of invited audience there. And I was kind of just playing with this idea of Propane Girl. And so there's this kind of self-destructiveness to kind of do this kind of emotional, sort of heightened emotionality of not kind of knowing what to do with it, I suppose. And maybe this, and then, you know, when this thing, as I said, I was kind of like to be covered, you know, I'd always kind of, and again, that's kind of about emotional containment and about sort of me and you and what's kind of like how we relate to each other. And so Propane Girl was like just a series of little kind of like sketches almost.
Okay.
That then I kind of showed to people. One was the Wicked Witch of the West, who was kind of like melting. So I kind of like had a long black kind of covering that kind of like, and then
cool idea.
Kind of melting with that, just because I just like the idea of that. and one was just having these just bursting balloons with the paint and kind of seeing what they did, and having a little wax figure of me and kind of blowing it up. I had something where I went into a post office and I laminated a sign, a little, that said creative license or something, or artistic license, and I kind of, please play along, you know. And I was basically trying to do a heist of trying to say, can you, you know, I'm Propane Girl, you know. I haven't listened to that footage for ages. I can't know what's happened to it.
It's a shame I haven't got any footage. I could have played on this.
And then
I'll put a link to it on here.
And that, they're kind of like, will you play along and pretend that you know, what happens next in this heist where I'm pretending to, I was going to say I'm going to blow them. Obviously it's a bit dodgy, you know. And then I had this thing with it was something completely in black, and I was in a body bag at one point as well, with these sparklers, and I had these sparklers things, and, you know, explosions. And
were you not worried for your safety?
No, it was all quite safe.
Oh, okay.
But had this, because somebody had said to me, you should do it in a burqa.
Okay.
And I was like, no, that's a really bad idea.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really bad idea. But I couldn't get the idea out of my head. And I was like, and I did have something where I was kind of in a black thing, and I had these balloons, and I was kind of bursting them. This internal sort of bursting and kind of crumpling to the floor. And I thought, that's so dodgy, you know.
Yeah.
But it made me think about the veiling thing, and I mean, there's two things. One is kind of like self-censoring, and kind of I've got this, you know, this thing that kind of wants to be explored, this thing that wants to come out, and the kind of this external sort of censorship. And then thinking, well, I am actually consistently veiling myself, consistently kind of being covered up. And it was in the East End of London, this like, and I then ended up in this, having a studio space in Bethnal Green, and some kind of like amongst this sort of community. There's a lot of women veiling, and as I did a project that was exploring the veil, and trying to understand, why they were veiling and kind of what veiling is to me, and but ended up. It was really. We talk about political hot potato. People were fascinated when I kind of, I wore a burqa for a bit, for example, and kind of going out and kind of seeing what that was like.
Oh, okay. Did you get any hassle, or was it
some?
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think the thing that was most difficult about it was I was like this, taking on this sort of, the dress of this other culture, this other that I didn't belong to. So I wasn't getting the experience of a Muslim woman with a burqa, because I didn't belong to that, and it really does. The veiling is such a lot about belonging. Kind of showing that you are part of, that you're a Muslim, you're part of the Muslim community, part of the whole, like the worldwide sort of community, and it's like, and it is like very much kind of your relationship with God and your kind of relationship with your spirituality, and I'm Catholic from growing up, and so you're Catholic, you get kind of veiling Catholic thing. And of course with nuns though, because someone would say, oh, look like you're taking the piss out of this, and this is difficult, because this is really, really disrespectful, because you wouldn't take the piss out of nuns, would you? And it's like, I totally would take the piss out of nuns, because it's in our culture that we do make fun.
There's loads of comedy sketches with nuns as well throughout history.
So and then I'd ended up talking about what had gone on during that year for me, and what sort of as this process of kind of feeling like I kind of felt like I was like in this position of being an outsider, like kind of this uber outsider, when I especially was wearing that burqa, that like I no longer belong to my community, I no longer belong to my community, but I don't belong to that community. I'm pretending, and that. And then I was in a relationship that I was really in love.
Oh.
And it wasn't reciprocated.
Oh no.
And the pain of that, the absolute pain of that. And I kind of came away from that project kind of broken.
Oh, sorry you went through that.
No, but look, I put myself in it. Jesus, and it was. And I thought, right, I need to distance myself. I need to put some distance into this. And so I thought I'll make work through persona. So I invented a persona called Sally Bangs, and to make work about intimacy. And then I started doing work with various things with that. But that, I found that it didn't give me the distance I needed. It became, everything, my own life and kind of the art just became more and more intertwined. I could see the difference. And what I really wanted was to kind of have collaboration and connection and partnership with people. And I was so involved in my own sort of work, and it was centred on me. I thought, I'm not going to get this, doing this. So I kind of stopped, and then met my husband, had a child, stopped art altogether.
So how did you end up working for Same Sky?
Well, that was as I came out, coming back when my daughter was 5. I'd been stay-at-home mum.
Okay.
And then when she was 5 and went to school, I started saying, what am I going to do? I was very interested in sort of seeing how creative process can, as I said, it's like this research is a way of thinking. And we've kind of seen how a lot of creativity was kind of like coming out of schools. And I think, well, no, but it's a great way of learning through creativity. It's really, really good.
I find it better for me. That's how I learn. I like creativity. That's the way it's much more interesting.
And so I was looking for kind of ways, kind of thinking, well, maybe I'll work in education. And, and I'd done I had done different things in education, and I like working with kids, and I'd kind of done things like before kind of having my baby as well, I'd kind of done 3 years as a part-time cycling instructor as well.
Nice.
In primary school. So I thought primary
Amazing.
school was great, you know. And then I've done a master's in practices research and drama, my old supervisor had set up this project called Imagining Autism, and that was looking to see what the effects were of doing this immersive creative play with quite severely autistic kids, kind of like looking to evaluate its benefits, and found out that it was great. You know, everyone knows that kind of work. Well, not everyone, but we thought this work is great. So what they were looking at was supposedly impairments in autism, about social imagination, emotional recognition, and that kind of thing. So the drama was really brilliant for all of these things. So that was what they were looking. They'd kind of, and they had the University of Kent. They got a big research funding for this, and I got in touch with, I needed a reference to do volunteering in a school, and I got in touch with this woman, Nicola Shaughnessy, and said, oh gosh, I've just seen what you've been doing. It looks really, really interesting. She said, we're doing a training course. Come along and do it. So I did some training in that. And so with this, and then I was looking around Brighton, because that was in Kent. I was looking around Brighton what work like this was going on.
Right.
And there was a Ari from Different Planet Arts. We kind of met up, and it was like, there's a lot of similarities with the work. And then she was doing a project called Wild Heart with Same Sky. And so she invited me to take part of that. And that's how and then it was Ari and myself, a musician called Mark, and John Barrow. Okay. And we were creatures of the forest. And that was really fun. And we had COVID, and so it all had to kind of stop. And then it started again after COVID, and I was working in a school for a year, and then I really didn't want to be full time in a school, and then so John was like, why don't you come and do some work with us?
Okay.
So that's what I did, and became involved with different things with them, and it was wonderful as well to be part of Same Sky, because what they do reaches so many people.
Yes, they
reaches so many people. It's so accessible, and it's so joyous, and it reaches so many people. As you know, which is very different from doing this sort of live art practice, which maybe you're doing stuff that people don't know what it is, or they're kind of a bit befuddled by it, or they kind of is a room with 12 people in it. It's sort of, it's this thing that everyone gets and everybody loves, and it's kind of bringing all of these people together.
Beautiful. Such a beautiful thing.
So that was, but then in terms of like what my role was in that, I wasn't doing, any of the kind of this, it's like that, the thing that kind of that's inside that needs to come out, and I got so I got made redundant from Same Sky last year, and one of the things that this has enabled me to do is to get back into my own practice, which it seemed like the right time to do. And so,
definitely.
And I started making this external body of me, so thinking that rather than it just sort of like being my body in relation to things, why don't I make this external body that then can be between us? And so there's something that is not quite me, not just me, but we can have this another body between us.
Oh, I'm really excited about this, because this is your new show that's coming up, Franken Mama, isn't it?
Yeah.
And that starts on the 31st of June?
30th of June.
30th of June.
Yeah.
At the Fishing Quarter Gallery.
Yeah.
On Seafront in Brighton.
Yeah.
And that's going on from then is it on for a week? Or?
It's on until the Sunday. And it's like my live laboratory. It's
this will be amazing.
Yeah. So I've been making these casts and making these foam sort of body parts, foam body parts. And what I found was that I tried to make this I was trying to make this external me, like a puppet, and I just got bits. I kind of find it really hard to kind of like actually make it cohere. So there's these fragmented bits. So one of the things is like, how do I make this into a whole body, or do I like to keep it in these little bits? And I got really I was really taken with this idea of Frankenstein, and Mary Shelley. I was
Yeah.
kind of like been getting quite into Mary Shelley and kind of her life
Good choice.
and that, because I think one of the things that she looks at in Frankenstein is just this it's about creation. It's about the nature of creation and about the creative drive. And you know what, woman ahead of her time. God.
And a good circle of friends that she was in as well.
Yes, indeed.
But so what did you go with, or is that part of what the whole experience is going to be, where you know whether you kept the parts separate or kept them together, or is that part of the surprise for the show? Or?
Well, it's like it's almost like I've kind of got the gallery as a studio for a week that people can come in and be in that live process with me. Yeah.
Amazing.
So and I will be, you know, sometimes trying to channel Mary Shelley, and other times be more just me, I guess. Maybe got some projection, got some writing, got these body bits, and then I'll see what, as people come in, I think every encounter will be different, and I'll sort of see how what emerges from it, really. So there's very much this stuff that's kind of coming from inside me, but it's then how's that met from people coming in? What's that meeting? How does the encounter change it?
So it's going to have legs, really. So it's just going to keep moving with its own.
It's got legs,
so to speak.
It's got loads of legs. Yeah. But I've been making hundreds of legs.
But it will change for each person's experience.
I think probably, and it will change through the week.
Amazing. Yeah.
And then right at the end of the week on the Friday evening, I think I'll get people together. It's some sort of performance. I don't even know what it is yet.
I'm going to try and go a couple of times, see what the experience is like.
Oh, that'd be brilliant.
So you're going to have a private view as well, or
that would be the private view would be the there's like an evening event, so that's a sort of live sort of thing.
What day will that be on?
On the Friday the 3rd.
Friday the 3rd.
That's 7 o'clock. Yeah, a couple of hours, but yeah, open every day, 11 till 4, and maybe if you can't make it, Ian, you get in touch. I could keep open for a bit longer.
Yeah,
in the day if you want to come after work.
Yeah.
But it's but it really is. It's not something it's not a finished thing. You know, it's very much in process. It's not a finished thing. And I say I'm just getting back into practice again, and it really is kind of like what happens now after I've had a baby. Not baby anymore. That experience of motherhood. And I think very much reflection on that as well. And it's still really early days for me. I kind of did something in Kemp Town in February. My first thing. Did I not tell you about?
Kept that quiet.
So I have to say. So this is a great place. It's Mid Street Lab. So there's a guy called JJ.
Oh, yeah, I know Mid Street Lab. I don't know JJ, but I know of Mid Street Lab.
Oh yeah, JJ's very cool, and what he's kind of doing, getting all these people together to kind of do things. It gave me the opportunity to have a space to work in that, with this shop window, and it was my first steps back into doing something that has a public interaction to it and just showing my work again. And it was so good for me to do.
Oh, nice.
So
that's cool.
Thank you, JJ, and Mid Street Lab.
That's nice.
And this is the next step. Yeah.
And if there's anything to go by from the project I worked on with you for Same Sky, is one size fits one.
1.5. Yeah.
Do you remember that? And then we ended up, we were making puppets it was an immersive experience with the kids, and then they ended up having like the puppets on film and stuff.
But that's it. But they were making their bodies.
Yeah. Yeah.
So it's a similar thing. But
they were on a small scale.
And that is, I've kind of there's something about making a body that you can and then relationship with this body shaped doll.
Yeah.
Essentially puppet doll that you can project onto it a lot of stuff. And it's one thing I love is with puppets is they connect really well.
Yeah.
It's like people get them.
I always remember like kids are so good at projecting these kind of little characters onto dolls. I used to do it with my the toys I used to play. We all did growing up. So why can't we carry on doing that sort of thing as we get older? We get more self-conscious or more aware of what what we're
I think we probably
how we play or how we do stuff.
There's something. I mean, one of the things I find really interesting about working the body is that relation. You know, how you can relate to your own body in it,
and how it would move,
and or just this. No, one of the first things I made when I was trying to make an external body was this foot, and it was out of memory foam, and I kind of made the foot and the calf, and then I was sort of handling it, and I got this weird sensation that it was my foot, because it was moulded on my foot, and then there's this idea of kind of through playing with this external body, kind of like then kind of relating to your own body in it, and I think part of what I'm doing is exploring that, but I don't know what this thing about these bodies kind of essentially blown apart is, and not being able to make it whole, you know. There's a bit with the kind of like this womb cavity when kind of like I'd make this cast of my legs, and kind of then I ended up drawing this kind of internal space and kind of feeling it almost, and that sort of I find that quite an interesting thing. I don't know where I'm going with it exactly. No, it's not straightforward. It's quite bitty, and I think that's my process too. And I think we were discussing this kind of ADHD head thing, kind of scattered mind. So maybe that's it's this thing of not making something cohere because it's just like.
No, because it I think it adds to more of an immersive and an exciting experience. Having that kind of sporadicness about it.
And I think meaning sort of moves around. I think there's something really, really true with any art piece is that what something means isn't determined. Always kind of finishes off the meaning in that moment. So if you kind of do paintings or what have you, it's like it can have a meaning to you, but it might change over time.
Once it's gone, it's its own identity.
Or maybe even when you're working with it, it might be that this kind of has the meaning kind of changes for you over time. But once it's on the wall in the gallery and you have a viewer come to it, then they have their own meaning. To it, and there isn't a fixed meaning. It doesn't really exist.
No, I agree.
And so
you can't be precious about it. It has to be, put out there and let everyone else have their own interpretation of it, because it could be such a powerful meaning for someone else, where for yourself it could just mean like, I like cheese or something like that.
Yeah, I had it's always, if it's kind of, it's I suppose there's so many the way that we kind of make meaning for ourselves and trying to make meaning sort of together. Trying to make meaning together, it's sort of it's much more complicated, isn't it? And you've got kind of like what we've got now, but how we make meaning now, and everything's so fragmented. We've got the whole internet where everyone sees things in different ways.
But that's why I like.
How does it cohere?
That's why I like working with musicians as well, because there's that art of weaving, and if you can jam and work together well, then it shows, because you're on this kind of weird, kind of wavy vibe that's happening.
It's lovely when you get the bit and you're just flowing together.
Yeah, and you don't even have to speak. You just know, you feel it. It's just there's that passion, and you once you get musicians you work with well, and you know where each other is going. That
I think
you're in the pocket then.
I think what I crave most, so much that I don't get enough of, is to be in flow with other people.
You should play an instrument.
Oh, if only I had learned to play an instrument. I think I'm a bit.
I suppose you could do it with that as well, if you've got, do collaborations.
Yeah, but then there's an art to that, and you have to. I think for me, I have to find the right kind of collaborators.
Okay.
And maybe I'm always searching for that, but there's also something about being, when it is this, there's so much of this sort of internal process, that in order for that to be able to kind of come out and to kind of into the, sometimes doing things in collaboration means that doesn't come out because it's not allowed. There's no, the structure doesn't facilitate that because of the kind of people there, or the way that it's difficult to make happen. But when it does happen, It's really great,
Yeah.
you know.
Because it surprises you as well, doesn't it? It's like if it's quite fluid the way you create, like just there's no like regimented rules to it. When it's finished and you've come up with something amazing that you're happy with because of the way it's just naturally gone that way, that's an amazing experience and a once in a lifetime experience that's just been created.
Yeah.
Like it's, I don't know wherever it comes from, the feeling or what, but when it's landed and you've created that and you've put it all together, then imagine like picking that out of the sky, you know, I don't know how to express it, but you know, you've just, that once in a lifetime moment that you've created something that no one else has done and there's not been any thought about it, it's just happened and that's the outcome.
The thing that's not, the thing that just happens is the best thing.
Yeah, it's an incredible feeling to be part of that sort of thing. I have to kind of end it soon because I normally like to keep them to a half an hour. I think we've gone over.
Yeah, no, that's
But
okay.
what I have to ask you is one. I would like to end it on a kind of paying it forward sort of thing to any other artists. So the way that you would, tackle your art and your practice, and from all of your experiences, is there any kind of words of wisdom that you can give an artist who's having a momentary crisis or not knowing how to get into the sort of art that you do, or any sort of art, you know, if there's any words of wisdom that you picked up along the way, or any advice you've learned along the way that you thought that if I knew that when I was starting off, or I had that kind of, is there?
I think one thing is don't wait for somebody else to give you permission.
Nice.
You don't need anybody else's permission to do it.
You just
give yourself the permission.
Awesome.
Yeah, because people aren't going to give you permission.
No.
In fact, you have to work quite hard at allowing yourself to do this.
That's really cool.
Yeah. And that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah.
It's you kind of like, what are we here for? You know, if you can find a way to do the thing that makes you happy, or that you feel you have the drive, the desire to do. If you want to make art, allow yourself to do it.
Oh, that's awesome. Really cool. So you've got to make sure you've got to go and see Helena's show, Franken Mama, at the Fishing Quarter Gallery, 30th of June, and the private view on the 3rd of July, on Friday.
Yeah.
So go along.
So you can have information online.
Yeah.
And it is, if you do a search, I've probably got it on Facebook, it's This Body of Play.
Okay.
So on Facebook, This Body of Play.
Add the links in the podcast and the subscription newsletter. So sign up to that so you'll get the information and the links. Awesome. Thank you very much for coming on the show, Helena.
Thank you so much.
I really appreciate it. Yeah. Taking time out of your busy schedule.
Oh no, it's a pleasure.
Before the show.
Absolute pleasure.
Yeah. Awesome. But we'll chat more. We need to catch up.
Yeah.
But yeah, awesome. Thank you for watching.
Awake in my bed, a scene from my head, far from where my body rides.